Hello, folks, and welcome back to episode 2 of The Advantage Line. My name is Karl Tiley, joined yet again in studio by my good mate, Paul Mawate. Paul, we're back.
We're back. Yeah, episode 2. How good, 2024. I'll tell you what, I was worked up after episode 1. A lot of hot takes by one of the panelists. And I'm looking forward to a few more here as well. This is going to be very, very good. And we start to move. Well, we're going to look at the teams that finished just outside the
9 to 12,
just outside the 8 last year. So it'll be interesting to see which teams we think might improve and which teams we think may not.
Speaking of that, panelist, he has avoided the judiciary. He is back. Nick Tedeschi, welcome back. How we going, mate?
Yeah, up and about. Very happy to have the nerves out of the way after the long suspension to get out of the way in episode 1 and ready to get stuck back in. Find a few more hot takes and a few more tapes.
Very nice. Right, as Paul mentioned, we're going to look at teams that ran 9th to 12th last year. But before we do that, I'm going to kick the show off with a divided opinion question. Very quick one. Last week, it came out, Michael Maguire basically saying, Madge Maguire saying that Teddy is not safe in the number 1 spot for the Blues. He is the captain, but...
I thought you were about to say Teddy's not safe on the advantage line.
not the first time I've heard that, Paul.
The performance was not great last week. We're looking at the contract to see what we can do. No, Teddy, I mean, James Tedesco. Is he Nick Tedeschi? Is he your number 1 come Origin this year?
Your number one?
Yeah.
No, he's not. And Origin shouldn't be about loyalty. It's cost New South Wales far too often in the past. I actually have James Tedesco in that group of Latrell, Turbo, Ryan Pappenhausen, and I think you've got to choose the players most informed. I think they're all about the same level of talent. And if you want to move one other to get, if you can find spots in the centres or whatever to make it work, then sure, I have no problem with that. But the Roosters' attack was stymied last year because there's a growing differential between James Tedesco's current ability and where he perceives his ability to still be at. He cannot. His whole game has been built around having 2 bites at the cherry. He can try to run at the line and then pass late or get an offload away, and he just doesn't have the speed to do it anymore. So he cramped his outside backs. It severely impacted Manu and Joseph Spalletti and a few of the other outside backs there at the Roosters. Hopefully, Trent Roberts is a smart enough coach. I think he will help turn that around this year. And I certainly think if he comes out with a bang, keep the spotlight. Certainly not against having him on the side, but I think it's got to be an open race between probably those 4 and maybe even Dylan Edwards to who the best fullback is.
I was going to say, do we put some respect on Dylan Edwards' name, Paul?
He's got to be one of the most unluckiest players.
Poor bloke can't get a start.
He's the Brad Hodge of the NRL.
Yes, correct. Right? Yes, he is. But being a Queensland supporter, I'm quite happy to see Teddy in the number 1. Look, if he turns his form around and we see him get back to what he was shown, 2-3 years ago, yep, no problems. But as Teddy said, there are a number of candidates there who, if they are playing top-level footy come Origin time, they should be in the number 1 jersey. One of them should be in the number 1 jersey. And, of course, they did it with, was it last season, the season before, by stacking the centres with a couple of fullbacks. So if they need to do that sort of thing again, fine. But, yeah, it should be the best player playing at the time who gets that number 1 jersey. And I don't think it'll be Tedesco.
Good. All right.
Good.
I don't really care. I support Queensland as well, so the mind boggles at some of the selections over the last few years for New South Wales.
Oh, how many times have we seen the worst ever Queensland side march out onto that field and at the end of the 80 minutes, they're holding a trophy aloft. It's just it's one of those things in sport where you look at things on paper and they just don't add up. But
it's a tradition as long as Origin itself. But at least we don't have the nut job that is Brad Fittler picking the teams. Like Freddie's one of the nicest guys in footy. I think everyone loves him. I love him, but he was so out of his depth picking that Origin side, and it all came to fruition. Damien Cook at centre. That's all I need to say.
Right, let's leave Origin chat there. We're still a few weeks away from Origin. So we'll circle back to that later on. All right, boys, we're going to have a look at the NRL grid for Wednesday, the 14th of February. Valentine's Day, Ted.
Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Carl. The love is in the air.
Love is in the air. I don't know about that. For those of you watching along at home, we can't really ignore the fact that things have changed and we are recording this separately to the podcast you're listening to.
you've teleported to another region of the world.
We're all wearing the same clothes, though. Good stuff, guys. But anyway, we'll get into it. This week's grid along the top, we've got played in 2005, played for 3 clubs, and played for the Sharks. Down the left, played for the Panthers as a premiership winner, played for the Knights. Teddy, top left, you want to kick us off? Someone who played in 2005 and the Panthers.
One of my favourites. He actually coaches the rival team of my local team, the Orange Sims. He coaches the Orange Hawks these days. Shane Rodney, 1.41.
Wow. Holy moly.
Wow. We're in trouble here, Paul.
Look, there's no love for me on this Valentine's Day NRL grid. I have had an absolute Barry Crocker.
Well, you can go next then.
Played in 2005 and played for the Panthers. Craig Gower, 2.39.
This is not good for me. I'm starting slow again. I've just gone for one of my favourites, and he's a favourite because he started his career on the wing, and progressively moved closer to the middle, and was probably more known for his time in the middle, and that's Luke Lewis.
He was actually out here in Orange on Monday coaching a footy clinic, which my young fellow went to. He's a lovely fellow, Luke Lewis.
Oh, nice. 5.26 for Luke Lewis. Next one along, Ted, played for 3+ clubs, including the Panthers.
Their premiership hero from 2003, Luke Prittis, for the Broncos, Raiders, Dragons, Panthers. Who else? Who knows who else? Plenty of clubs there.
What's your number?
1.73.
Nice. Paul?
I've got a player who played for 5 clubs: the Warriors, the Storm, the Panthers, the Tigers, and the Eels. Paul Fatuira, 0.79.
Oh, Paul.
Very good get.
And a very handy boxer as well. I think he was in the Fight for Life a few years ago and didn't look out of place.
Very nice. I'm chasing the pack again. The great James Maloney, 2.27.
Don't mind the sounds in the background. Just my very unhappy kid not being allowed in the room.
Maybe we should let them in. They might offer more than I am in terms of the grid. Next one along, played for the Sharks and the Panthers. Teddy.
Yeah, I thought I would have scored a bit better on this one, but I went with a player who was allergic to tackling, fullback/winger David Simmons, 4.07.
Paul?
I've gone with someone who has already been mentioned, Luke Lewis, 7.99.
Hey, here he is. Carl's moving up here. Also went for someone who's allergic to tackling. Matt Moylan, 5.55.
Very nice.
All right, middle row, played in 2005 and is a premiership winner.
Yeah, I went with a premiership winner from that year. I went with Liam Fulton, 0.59.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Benji Marshall, 1.75.
I expect better from you there, Paul.
Yeah, you didn't really dig too deep into the Owls on that one, did you, Paul?
Yeah, well, I've got a few things going on here at the moment. So, yes, I've been rushing through this NRL grid. It wasn't at the top of my priority list.
Well, that says more about you than anything else, Paul. It's very disappointing.
I went for Benji's halves partner, Scotty Prince, 0.94.
Very nice.
Next one, long, played for 3+ clubs and is a premiership winner. Teddy.
My only brain for this grid, 0.69, Steve Turner.
Oh,
I appreciate with the Storm and played with the Panthers and the Dogs.
nice.
I've got a big red square.
Oh,
on
no.
this one.
Oh, no.
Big red square. I was sure I saw him holding the trophy aloft. Nigel Vangana.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Thought
Well,
I
He
thought
should
he
have won a
was with the
premiership
Dogs.
he should have won a premiership in 2002 before we were unfairly kicked out of the competition for a minor salary cap breach. But no, he was not there in 2004.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. All right. I went with Darius Boyd, 2.22. Next one.
He's been at more clubs than Milwaukee's.
Yeah.
Next one, long, played for the Sharks and is a premiership winner.
With one of the more unlikable players. Unfortunately, also had a stint in that foul sport called rugby union. Will Chambers, 3.23.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Gallen, 4.66.
Oh, he really is phoning it in. I went.
F for effort for you there, Paul.
Oh,
I went for a guy that is kind of recent enough, I think, for people to remember. But I thought that he was around enough. He won 2 premierships, but you could forget him quite easily. But alas, the points say otherwise. Chris Heinington, 4.37.
Oh, you've been stiff with that. That's a good one, Chris Heinington. I think he played a lot of games. I think that's what counts against you in this career. He might be a 300 gamer. If you play 300 games, I don't think you're reflected.
Yeah, tough. All right, bottom left, played in 2005 and played for the Knights.
I really struggled to remember this 2005 Knights team. They were really. This was the end of the Joey year. I think he finished up in 2006. There wasn't much going on, but I had another unlikable player, Josh Perry, front row, 2.1 points. Ended up his career with Manly. We won a premiership, but also with the Knights in 2001.
I've gone with Kurt Gidley, 3.12.
Surprised you didn't say Joey.
He was my next go.
We'll go to an E-.
I was just rattling off the All-Stars. I went for Danny Badderas, 2.69.
Very nice.
Next one, played 3+ clubs, also played for the Knights.
If there was an award given for the player I've used the most through 115 NRL grids, this guy would be right up there. Richie Faoso. Played with the Panthers, the Roosters, the Eels, the Knights, the Sea Eagles, and the Storm. So covers plenty of clubs. Won a premiership. Yeah, premiership came when he transferred mid-year from Manly to Melbourne. But Richie Faoso, 1.17.
I've got a big red square.
Oh, no.
No, you struggled with players who played for 3 clubs, Paul.
I've selected a player who only played for the Knights. Sione Matotia. Oh, geez, I'm having an absolute.
In fairness to you, Paul, he did sign with the Bulldogs and then reneged on his contract like a complete grub. So
That's tough. I went for David Clemmer, 2.28.
Cool.
The last one, played for the Sharks, played for the Knights.
Played for the Blues as well. Had a couple of stints with the Knights. With the Sharks. Cade Snowden, big front row.
Oh, yeah.
4.09.
I've got a very sensitive mouse, and it clicked on this player. I didn't want this player, but it clicked on this player, and it's another red square. So I just want that to be taken into account here.
Who were you going to pick, and who have you picked?
Well, I was searching through names, so I
was searching through names.
Yes,
that's a very, very poor way of doing this, Paul.
I was just scrolling, and then it clicked on Aidan Guerra, who unfortunately didn't play for the Sharks. But interestingly, he did play for the Knights, though, so wasn't that far away. That's it, 3 red squares.
I mean, we're counting the cumulative tally for the year. Is that right, Carl?
We are, yeah.
Well, this is really put Paul behind.
God. Well, no, this is ridiculous. There's got to be what do you call it? The ice skating or the diving. You take your worst result out and your best result out, and then you take all the rest as your median or your average for the year. I think
it's just like the diving. We cut the bottom third of the competition for you to finals.
Look, it's a working competition. We'll see what we can come up with. But given you're 300 points in the rear vision, Mira, I'm happy to let it stand. I'm going to finish strong, bring it home. I've got a little wizard here.
Oh, nice.
I think we talked about him on the first podcast. I think, Paul, you used him. Lachlan Miller.
Oh, nice.
0.60.
Another rugby union grub.
Yep. So Teddy, your total score?
19.1.
Very nice. Paul?
Well, I would have been around 30-something, but I'm 320.7. This is probably a segment we don't really need to.
Paul Maloney, everybody.
This is something we don't need to do every week, to be fair. I think we should just... Look, we're about punting. Let's get stuck into some punting, okay?
I'm 26.2.
Much
last week. I actually found this to be one of the easier ones, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't struggle with it. My finger wasn't slipping off into Aidan Guerra territory, or I wasn't imagining Nigel Vunga won premierships, but or picking one club players to have played for 3 clubs. He wouldn't have played 100 games either, would he? Sierra Nevada, Utah.
Hold on. He played 124. No. Yeah, 124.
0 of them memorable.
Yeah, another player that's tried to go from the wing into the back row, but probably not as successful as Luke Lewis.
He, for a footballer, I'm sure he's a very nice man.
And that's probably a good spot for us to leave it on and get back to the regular program. All right, let's move on to the next 4 teams. Sea Eagles, Cowboys, Eels, Bunnies. We will start with Manly. Sea Eagles, where are their ins and outs? Teddy, if you've got them handy, feel free.
Well,
Luke Brooks.
Yes.
Luke Brooks, Jackson Paulo, Tommy Talau, Corey Waddell, Brandon Wakeham, Bailey Hodgson. Looks like they're going to sign Nathan Brown as well. Key outs, Sean Kepi, Kale Weeks, Kalma Tuolangi, and Morgan Harper.
So no key outs there.
And as you said,
no key outs, exactly.
As you said last week, was it Tui Polotu?
Tui Polotu.
Yeah, Tui Polotu's gone. Tui Polotu's gone as well. He's signed the Dragons. So, there's a bit of shuffling of the deck chairs there, though. We've talked about Luke Brooks pretty in depth in the first episode, but are we really getting much out of Jackson Paulo and Tommy Talau that we're not getting out of KO Weeks and Morgan Harper? I'm not sure about that. So, and you know what? I've seen enough of Corey Waddell to be fairly certain that he's the worst player in the NRL and cannot believe a club would go and sign him. But God bless Manly for doing it.
Before we get too further into it, to make the $2.50, top $4-6. I'm a little bit underprepared here this week to make the grand final. They are $16 to win the grand final. They're $34. No, sorry, it's minor premiership, $34. Grand final, $23. It sounds like, Teddy, you don't give Manly much hope this year.
Yeah, not huge on them. I don't think they're above probably most of the teams we talked about last week, but I think they're kind of probably just in that Titans realm there of, I don't really like them to contend, but they're probably just outside the 8 there. I finished 11-12-1 last year. I've got them probably dropping down a win and a half. I've got or around that mark. So they've got a difficult draw, very difficult draw. They've got the second hardest draw in the comp. They're one of those rosters that are very top heavy. So they've kind of done the Melbourne Storm way of kind of stars and scrubs. They've signed 5 or 6 big players. The thing with Melbourne was they would go and sign Cronk, Slater and Smith, who would play every week and were all good players. Manly had signed Cherry Evans. They signed Turbo, who never plays, played like 40% of games over the last 4 or 5 years. And then they paid people like Josh Schuster lots of money and Luke Brooks lots of money. So not ideal when you're trying to do a side of stars and scrubs. The stars need to play and the stars need to be stars. So you don't love them. You can't write off the pen. Like if Tom Trebojevic plays a full season and Cherry's there, of course they're going to win games. Like there's too much talent there not to. But I think the team's a bit fragile. I don't think they can afford any injuries. I don't think teams they get injuries. So yeah, don't love Manly this year.
I've got them, I guess, similar to you, sort of battling for that 8th spot. Could finish 8th, could finish 12th. Couple of wins in it. As you said, we touched on it last week. Luke Brooks, he's the big question mark, the big unknown. If he plays well in that system with the top heavy names, I think they go all right. If basically everything's Teddy said, if they stay fit, if Tommy stays fit, Cherry Evans is still, he only just gave up the Australian jumper last year to Cleary. He's still the captain of Queensland. He's a good player. They've got a couple of big names in the forward pack. Olakau'atu is just a scary human. Jake Trbojevic, if he gets back to his best. Lots of question marks, lots of potential. I don't really want to commit to anything. Paul?
The only question here is if Tommy Turbo plays the whole season, they make the 8. I'm not sure he does. I hope he does, and if he does, I think they go fairly well. I think Brooks, I think they're paying him too much, but it doesn't really matter. I think with Cherry Evans in the halves there with him, he's going to control everything. So Brooks can just be sort of like a floater, I guess. But it's all around Tommy Turbo for mine. If he's fit, he's not off the field, they win more games than they lose. And they make the 8, in my opinion. So it's all around Tommy Turbo. I think Josh Schuster into the forward pack, I think it probably suits him. I think he struggles.
Suits his size.
Well, I did not say that, Teddy. I just said I think the move into the second row, I think suits Schuster, and I think we'll see a better performance out of him in the 2024 season. So, but the big the yes or the no for mine in terms of how Manly go is all around Tommy T.
One thing we haven't talked about though, Paul, is old Vantage Line favourite, the coach of the team, Anthony Seibold. Now, in no way can he be considered a positive for what's going on there. I think his recent record says more than enough of kind of how this rebuild's going to go. So, but that's kind of the big knock on me as well. Like I don't think they're a club that knows what they're doing, and I know the coach has no idea what he's doing. So, I think that kind of is a mark against it. Puts them outside of the 8 for me.
It's just that the talent that they have, if they're all together for the bulk of the season, I think they can sneak into the 8. So, I've got them in that 4 to 8, but that relies on Tommy T being fit for at least 90% of the season.
Tough start too. Bunnies,
Roosters,
Eels, Dragons, that's a win. Panthers, Warriors. Tough start.
Tough start. The middle doesn't get any easier either. So, they're going to Vegas as well. That counts as one of their home games. They've got a home game against the Broncos at St. Paul. So they lose a few home games there that, just make things a bit niggly for Manly as well. So, yeah, enough going against them for me.
So where do you have them finishing then, Teddy? What
Ninth to 12th.
Yeah, I'm the same, 9th to 12th. Paul?
I had them 9th to 12th. I'm going to go 8 to 5. I'm going 8 to 5.
I had them 8 to 5, and I just swapped them out. I've got about 15 teams battling for that 8th spot, so when we come to do our ladder, it could be very interesting.
Look, the final round could be very, very interesting this season. There could be a number of teams who can either make the 8 or fall out of the 8, depending on the result of the final round.
It's the same every year.
I see it very, very tight. This is going to be a fascinating season. I just can't wait for it to get underway.
Greatest game of all.
He's pumped. He is pumped. All right, let's go to the Cowboys. Ins, Jake Clifford, Thomas Michaele. I am not even going to try and pronounce that name. I apologize.
Viliami Vaida.
No, I can get Viliami Vailea. It's the other guy. Deja. Nah, not going to do it.
Who are you looking at?
Let's call him DP. This bloke, yeah. Teddy's not even sure.
I haven't got it on my list, so I don't know who you're talking about.
You do some research, punters. Have a look yourself.
Deja there.
Yeah. Losses: Peter Hiku,
Avasi.
Sylvester Namo, Riley Price, and James Tamau, who has retired. Teddy, thoughts on the Cowboys early doors?
Oh my God, how boring. Just how boring is my first thought of the Cowboys? Like a team that missed the 8 last year and have essentially made no roster changes. Like Peter Hiku was done by the end of the year and I think had been supplanted by Zach Labert. Then Labert and Vailea will fight for spot. There's no real positional changes there. I don't see how this is not more of the same. Like the Cowboys have a very even draw across the year. Like they finished 0.08 wins off their true win rate, so they're probably spot on a 12-12 team. Like they went 3-1 in close games, so that might be an indicator they go down a bit. They also had they were the healthiest NRL team in terms of spine last year, which I can't tell you that's a positive or negative because Chad Townsend being hurt might have actually been a positive thing for the Cowboys. But they've got an easy draw. I've just got absolutely more of the same. Like I am not a drinker of the Kool-Aid that says Todd Payton's a good coach. Like that was set up for success last year. He's gone all in on Townsend. And they've got Jake Clifford as his backup. Like there are not too many players halves that Chad Townsend would beat out convincingly in a battle for halves, but Jake Clifford is one of them. So I don't like what they haven't done. And the other thing that probably concerns me more than anything was we saw this a lot last year with a lot of Cowboys players, and I don't think it reflects well on Payton as a coach, and at least who he's surrounded is kind of. For all the Tom Deans and Scott Drinkwaters that improved, Jeremiah Nanite was horrible last year. Went backwards by a long way. Kyle Felt obviously got Murray Tuilagi went from playing for Australia to barely being a first grader. Yeah, there's a lot of those kind of players who are on the precipice there. They haven't even got off what took a step backwards last year. So tough to make a case for any improvement because they haven't done anything to improve. I just don't see where it comes from. Like, they'll be fighting out for the 8, and they could easily go 13-11 and sneak in. They could easily go 11-13 and miss out, or they could easily go 12-12 and be a coin toss as to whether they're in or 40 or not. So I've got them smack bang in the middle of the premiership.
When you look at the team on paper, it's sprinkled with superstar names. There's a lot of superstar names there, a lot of representative players, a lot of guys that have done it.
Most have seen better days, though.
Yeah, but, last year, could you just sort of write it off as an off year? If they fire, like you say, they'll definitely be top 8, could be pushing top 4.
It wasn't off year, but by the same token, you look at the year before and say that was the off year, where everything just kind of clicked from. Like, just trying to get a grip on where the Cowboys are actually at. And in terms of talent, I think I had them rated the 11th best roster. There's not much depth there, and I totally take your point. Like, you got Dearden and a few others like Reece Robson, who are very good players, but I think this for all, like, you might get improvement out of Nanai and all that stuff. Surely we're not going to see the same year as Scott Drinkwater. Like, he had a sensational year last year. And players who kind of come out of nowhere like that, they don't usually repeat as often, do they?
No, they don't. But I think there are more question marks. What do we think of the was it last week, 2 weeks ago now, captaincy change? Townsend, Taumalolo booted as co-captains in favour of Cotter and Dearden. Does that signal a change?
Maybe, but I put such little credence in captaincies, and I put even less credence in when there's more than one. That's tinkering on the edges for me.
Yeah, I think Taumalolo is still a big piece for me. If he can get anywhere near back to his best, then they're going to be a dangerous football side, Paul.
They've made some of the fewest changes of any of the teams on the off season. So for mine, we're going to get a very similar output to what we had this season just gone. I've got them finishing almost exactly where they did last season. I don't see an improvement. I don't see much of a drop off. I think they will be just outside the 8 again for mine.
So 9-12?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yep, I got them 9-12.
I'm going to go 5-8.
Yeah, you certainly seem higher on the Cowboys than us two there, Cup.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just looking at that 1 to 17. I think there's enough experience and excitement there that if a lot of it comes back to, if Nanai gets back to his best, if Tuilagi gets back to his best, if Val Holmes is still, one of the best centres going around, Scott Drinkwater's got to be at 80% of last year, then I think they're a problem for some teams.
It's a tough place to go up there, North Queensland, and take the Cowboys on, but they just seem like a sort of a middling team for mine at the moment. So
pretty indifferent start to the year too. Dolphins away, Knights at home, Dragons away, Broncos at Suncorp, Titans. Yeah,
you'd expect them to pick up a few wins, but I don't know. Well, I got the Dolphins beating them in the first game of the season.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Okay. Next one. The Parramatta Eels. They are paying $1. I should say, sorry, did I do the odds for the Cowboys? I don't think I did. Top 8, $1.62. The bookies are on. $1.62 to make the 8. $3.20 for top 4. To reach the grand final, $6.75. And to win the grand final, $13. They are currently the 6th favoured team ahead. I can't believe that's ahead of the Wars to win the grand final.
No respect.
Bookies are on. Okay, next one, Parramatta Eels. They are $1.90 to make the 8. They are $4.60 to make the top 4. To reach the grand final, $11.50. And to win the grand final, $21. Ins Morgan Harper. That's about it. Kalama Tuolagi, not great. Outs. Josh Hodgins retired. Jake Arthur, Walker Blake, Nathan Brown, Jack Murchie, and Mitch Rain. Teddy, Parramatta Eels.
Rinse and repeat. Cowboys preview. Like same thing. Like middle of the pack team who've done very, very little to actually go and improve their side. Like I thought their purchasing they've let their roster decline over the last few years. They've invested their money in the wrong place, and I think that they have a pretty poor side. Like Gutho is obviously a very reliable fullback, but he's a level off those great ones. Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses are two good halves, but again being paid like great halves. We don't know what we're going to get out of Brendan Hands or probably their hooker, so that's a concern. But they're a great front row, Junior Paulo and Regan Campbell-Gillard. Back row's okay, but if you're playing Bryce Cartwright there, you are playing with absolute fire. I know he was okay last year and the year before, but don't like it. And their three-quarter line is abhorrent. So can't tackle. Like I said, obviously he can score tries, but not much else going out there. So like the Cowboys, there was no indicators to suggest they were any better or worse than the 12 and 12-10 they were last year. They have been blessed by a good draw. I think they're better coached than the Cowboys, but I think they probably start off with maybe a slightly worse roster than the Cowboys. So, if I had to pick between the Cowboys and the Eels as a team to jump up and make the 8, I'd be more inclined to take the Eels. But I'm not taking either of them. But if I was backing one of them, that'd be it. But yeah, just don't like anything about that. The Eels are bang on average from mine.
What do you think of Paul?
Yep, much of the same from last season to this season for the Eels. I think they just missed the 8 again. Look, they've got a good halves pairing and Brown and Moses. Gutherson, he's got another season under his leg, so
reckons he's the fittest he's ever been.
He can be as fit as a fiddle. He's going to lose another half pace of speed for mine, and that's what gave him a bit of spark, I guess, over the last few seasons. Yeah, I don't see him getting better.
I wouldn't worry about his speed. I'd be more inclined to. You can be as fit as you want, Gutho. What about some of your challenges as captain? Like that's what you have a few more brain cells is what you need.
I do not see them going up or down. I see them finishing in that bracket again.
I've got them dropping a little bit. I agree with you guys. Backline's a bit outside of Gutho and Sivo. Their back five isn't anything to sort of write home about.
Simonson, Penasini, and Russell. Like Penasini hasn't come on. Simonson's horrid. We haven't seen much of Russell, so.
I'd love to get Blake's opinion on Micah Sivo. If I hear they're great mates.
I'll leave him alone. Jeez. At least have the man here to defend himself when you make a casting aspersion like that.
Might be the greatest NRL highlight ever.
Wow.
Dylan Brown, Mitch Moses. Is it like they're good halves? Dylan Brown plays the Kiwis, but he's in a good system. Like they both need to fire and have very, very good years, very strong years for the Eels to fire. Forward pack's okay. Bench, not great.
The roster falls away. Like,
it does.
Pretty quickly. Like there's no depth there.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, you look at this team and those sort of standout names, and you think, shit, this is a good team. They're probably pushing top 4. And I mean, they were. But
they made the grand final 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think that the 2 years is a long time in the NRL.
A very long time in the NRL. I mean, and it's also one of those things like teams that are kind of built on sand, they can collapse pretty quickly. And it was of no surprise to me Parramatta missed the 8 last year. And I think the teams can get hot and can do well, and that's good and well done to them. But they've probably always been around this mark for the last 4 or 5 years. So, and it's kind of they're not a team on the up. That's for sure.
Yep. All right, Teddy, where have you got them finishing?
9th to 12th.
Paul?
9-12.
13 to 17.
Ooh, I hope you're right, Carl. I do like seeing Eels in misery, so
I think they're right on that sort of 12, 13 mark for me.
shout out to Paul Carriage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from Greg Smith to
Like I say, I've got 35 teams fighting it out for that 8. So I'm not picking this ladder in a few weeks. It's not going to be fun. What happens if I change anyone? You guys are going to listen back to this, so you won't even know.
You've just got to make it add up to 204 wins. That's all you got to do, Carl.
The next team, where are we going? We're going to
Bunnies.
the Bunnies. Odds wise, let me go down to the top 8. $1.44 to make the top 8. To make the top 4, they are $2.65. Grand final, $4.90. And to win the grand final, $8.50. Gains, Sean Kepi and Jack Whiten. Losses, Jed Cartwright, Liam Knight, Hame Sally, and Blake Taff. Not a lot of movement there. Jack Whiten, a big in. Teddy, what do you think of the Bunnies?
Yeah, huge in. How weird was last year for South? They were premiership favourites ahead of Penrith at one stage, around round 10, around 11. They were premiership favourites. Missed the 8.
First team ever to be leading the comp and miss the 8.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm not sure you're right, but I believe it for sure. Like,
they were definitely entrenched in that top 4, and they fell out of the 8.
Like, it was a very strange year, and like to me, it kind of came down to 2 things, and kind of the ability to solve these problems will kind of tell you where Souths are finished. So, Jason Demetrio let Cody Walker on the Latrell Mitchell get away with way too much last year. I have no problem with stars being able to get away with more than other players. That is sport. That is life. So that is just. But the problem is when other stars start getting pissed off at what they get away with not being accountable. So when you disenfranchising your Cameron Murrays, your Damien Cooks, and others at the club, that becomes a problem. Now, Demetrio's coached enough teams in England and lower grades. Learn from him about it. I think he is smart enough to maybe pull back a little bit on that. So I don't anticipate that's going to be an issue this year. And also, Jack Whiten is such good mates with particularly Latrell that I think that new dynamic will probably be a positive for the club, like maybe getting sparked back and stuff like that. The other thing is Lachlan Ilias. Now, how Lachlan Ilias is anywhere near first grade, and this might turn out to be a Nathan Cleary. So here we go. Let's mark this one. Let's mark this one. Episode 2, 2024. Lachlan Ilias should not be anywhere near first grade. Like, South probably made a mistake letting anyone else go for various reasons. But you make decisions to get players. It's not you don't hang them out to dry on that. That's just life. Where they're continually making mistakes is continually backing Lachlan Ilias. You've just got to move on. Like, he is absolutely no good. Bring in Dean Hawkins, go and find a veteran and play that way. He is costing them no end. So, the Whiten signing is interesting, right?
Where does he play?
So he'll play centre. I think the plan is for him to eventually play in the halves. Look, I don't encourage that many years left in him. But I think Jack will be happy. I think Latrell will be happy. And I think it adds to a pretty strong back line. The problem for South is they didn't need help. They didn't need help in the outside back. Where they need help is in the forward pack. And that's where, and at halfback, and that's kind of problematic for them. So I thought, overall, you've got to rate the purchase a good one. You're rating an international for your team. So they've got an array of talent in the back line. So that's great. they certainly undershot their true win number last year. Like they were absolutely a top 8 team last year, based on their list and how they played, all that kind of stuff. So, I'll be on them to kind of push themselves back into the finals this year. 2-4 in close games. No luck. Not too big worries for South this year, other than kind of the personnel stuff we talked about. They had a great run of injuries last year. And if that kind of drops back a bit, if you can't make the 8 with the run of injuries they had last year, then that's a problem. They've also got the third hardest draw. So they have a incredibly difficult, incredibly difficult start the season. Their first 8 games is as difficult based on last year's win numbers for their opponents than anyone else outside of the Dolphins' last 8 games. It's a brutally hard schedule. They're in Vegas. They've got to give a home game up at Suncorp. They're playing Parramatta on the road. They're playing Tigers of Gosford, both home games as well. So they give up a bit there. They did a lot of travelling. If you remember last year, they made those T-shirts, Paul, where they were travelling around, and that did them no favours because they barely won a game on that trip. So, it's a few little niggly things. So I've got them talent enough to make it, but $8.50 of the premiership looks a fair amount of unders for mine.
Storm on Anzac Day too. Not an easy task. I think that first 10 rounds looks pretty tough with a bye. What do you reckon, Bunnies, Paul?
Once again, I love the team on paper, and Bunnies fans, they have one person to thank if Lachlan Ilias jumps up and is Dally M worthy this season. They can send bouquets to Nick Tedeschi because he has just done it again. I expect Lachlan Ilias to step up. If he doesn't, then they do have the option of moving Whiten into the halves with Cody Walker because they've got a wee bit of depth out further out the back line. The starting pack, I think, is very, very good. I love the props. Totola, Burgess, Cam Murray, and the 13. So, yeah, they can. I see them making the 8. That is a tough start, but I think that's exactly what they need. They'll find out very early their best 13, their best 17, and then if they need to make changes, I think they have the willingness to do so. So, but yeah, I've got them making the 8 for mine.
Yeah, it is a tough start. I've got them making the 8.
I just hope they get out of Vegas incident-free. Regardless of the result of the game, just want them to get out of there incident-free. They get out of there, I think that's a big hurdle they've already overcome week 1.
All 4 teams. All 6 teams. Whiten in the centres. I think him and it'll be good for Latrell. Not only their friendship, but I could see them playing sort of that interchangeable role quite a bit.
Yep.
When Latrell has a big run, gets a bit tired, he said, "Oh, come on, mate, you jump back and I'll sit in the centres for a little bit." That'll keep teams on their toes if that works. I don't know. I can't see Latrell. I can't see Whiten and Walker working in the halves. It's the too similar of players for mine.
Oh yeah, you can't play both of them together.
No. Cody Walker's got to start hot if they want to do it. He must be 45 by now.
Here we go.
Didn't he
32, I think. 32, but he's
when he was 36.
Yeah.
he definitely debuted late. So you got to wonder what his career could have been like if he was actually given a shot.
Yeah. No, I think again another one on paper. They look really strong. How about Sevilla Havili, like the little engine that could? He just sort of sits in that 14 jumper in any team he plays for. No one really talks about him, good or bad. He just chips away another game here, another game here.
34 Cody Walker.
Wow, I'm older than Cody Walker. That's tough.
I'll tell you what, we'll probably all reach the stage now, but when you become older than every player in the NRL, it's a real sad day. When Gal retired, It was a really upsetting time for me.
We were talking about this the other day when the players you watched growing up and now their sons are playing. That's tough to watch.
Yep.
All right.
Or grandsons.
Grandsons. Let's wrap this one up. Teddy, where have you got the Bunnies finishing?
5th to 8th.
Paul?
5-8.
I too have them 5th to 8th. I realise I haven't given out any of Surly or Blake's options this week because they haven't provided them to me just yet. So we'll try and sneak them in next week for this one. But
Get on top of that.
that'll do us unless you guys have got anything
Don't let them get away with murder.
you want to get off your chest for the second preview.
Oh, crikey, how long have you got? Teddy's
No,
about to launch.
We don't have long. That's why I'm.
I've never been asked a question I've enjoyed more in my life.
I'm
Is
afraid.
there something I want to get off my chest?
No.
You better call the lawyers.
Let's not go there. No, Teddy, thank you again for joining us.
Awesome, great fun as always.
Paul, you too.
Yeah, let's just get to the season.
Let's get to the season. Not far away now. And thank you out there for listening yet again. And we will be back next week to do it. Again. That's a poor sign off. We'll be back next week anyway to look at teams
8 to 5.
5.
Looking
Getting
forward to
close.
that. Yeah,
All right.
now we're getting to the juicy part of the season. To the ladder, sorry.
Let's kill it there. See you next week.
Boom.